here at Elk Grove with Brent Peterson, one of our first priority net branches up here. And we want to talk to him about a couple of things. He's got some really neat stuff going on. Last month, he was one of the top dogs, man, on the list. He was one of the, I think he was number 2. I think you were. Congratulations on that, by the way. So, but he's got a unique way of getting some business in. He's been doing it a long time. I'm just going to pick his brain here. It might be something you guys can make some use out of. How you doing, man?
Good.
Good. Thanks for letting us come in and bug you.
You're welcome.
So, let's see. How long have you been doing loans, first of all?
Since 96.
So you've been doing it quite a while.
Well, actually, into 95, but we'll starting 96.
Okay, good. So we got a vet here, knows what he's doing. Now, a big part of your career has been based on what you're doing right now, right? Which is the telemarketing thing. Is that true?
That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the bread and butter of how I generate business.
Perfect. The bread and butter of how this guy, number 2, generates business. Fill us in a little bit on it. I mean, how do you do the telemarketing? Are you on the phone calling people? Is that what you do? Or
I was in the beginning, and I was in the beginning because I didn't have enough resources myself. I was too young in the business to pay for somebody else to do it.
Got it.
So I started telemarket myself with MetroScan leads.
Okay.
But as soon as I would say that I was closing anywhere between 4 to 6 a month, then I had found that I was a good enough salesman to pay for somebody else to do it.
Got it.
Just because if you take a look at the benefit of being on the phone and the laws and numbers of trying to close people compared to trying to go through all the no's, it's more cost effective to pawn that off on a telemarketer at $8-9 an hour and pay for that, because you do yield a lot more if you can just close it in the evening.
Got it. So did you actually then, when you started closing the more loans, and did you actually have somebody in your office that you're paying $8-9 an hour?
I started with doing that, and I found out from managing them to the phone cost to dealing with them at night to scripting them to everything else, that I soon, within about 6 months, found that it was a lot more productive, and I'll never go back to that, to where I hired and farmed out outside firms that did it for me. Then it's off-site. I can hold them accountable. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so we can hire off-site firms to telemarket for you. Now, when these guys do this telemarketing for you, when they get a hot one, do they just funnel it into you, kind of a thing, or how's it work?
Yeah, they clear a script with you first. So they're going to basically say on the phone exactly what you want them to say, as much detail as limited information or what have you, and they'll call, and when they hit every parameters, typically 3 to 5 different specifics, then they'll know they have a full qualified application, and then in the next morning I'll either have it faxed or emailed to me.
Okay, so when these guys are doing this telemarketing, they're kind of qualifying them basically on your criteria, on what you set up.
Exactly.
And then, but then when they're hanging up with those people are understanding, okay, you're going to get a call sometime tomorrow from Brent.
Exactly.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works.
Okay.
And so typically the appointments are preset. Some telemarketing companies, you can tell them 4, 5, 6 o'clock, set up my appointments. Other of them are just random, and you have to kind of work with that company, just call them whenever you can.
Got to juggle that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This is very interesting. So these outside companies, what do they cost? I mean, let's get down to it. What does it cost for you to have some leads generated in?
Usually, if you want anybody to work with you to any reasonable, consistent capacity, you need to go on campaigns of 50 to 100 leads minimum. So you're paying between $2,000 to $3,000 for anywhere between 50 to 100 leads. And the big thing to know is there's a difference between some of the leads I get are internet-based, where there's companies that sell, they have like a banner ads on an internet site, and clients will fill out an inquiry questionnaire, and you'll pay $30 a lead for that.
Okay.
Then other companies will telemarket, and they'll charge you anywhere from $50 to $100 for actually having an employee talk to somebody, fill out an application, and then deliver that to you. So it ranges from cheaper internet leads to actually having a physical person talk to somebody. It's usually more expensive.
And the physical person talking one, that's about 50 to 100 bucks per lead that comes your way?
Depending on the company you work with, yes.
So you're making a little investment here.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
To get these things over. Success ratio with this, what are you looking at? I mean, you were telling me the market's changed now, so that's fallen off a little bit. Yeah. So what are you looking at here?
Number one, aside of the telemarketing firm, is it's the success and the skill level of the loan officer. And most loan officers that don't make this work tend to be weak on the sales side.
Got it.
And so that's one thing you have to be honest with yourself. Do you have the skills on the phone to cold contact somebody? That's number one. That's going to make or break you.
Okay.
The next thing is that you probably are going to want to start off with anywhere between a commitment of $3,000 to $5,000,
okay,
just simply to get the ball rolling, to talk to enough people, and the closing ratios for me are probably anywhere between. I'd say normally in the past it was like 30%, and now it's probably anywhere between 10 to 15%, just simply because of the market.
The market.
Yeah, so 10 to 15% success rate on closing to then not only pay for all the marketing, but still come out with something at the end of the day to say it was worth your while.
Okay. Brent, can you tell us the name of some of these companies that you like to use?
Townsend Direct, and then MSL Teleservices, which is out of Connecticut.
MSL, like Mike Sam Lima?
Exactly.
Okay.
And anybody can always contact me to get information on them.
Okay, well you're saving us a lot of time with this because you basically boiled it down to these two companies seem to provide you the best stuff.
And stay in business, which the same thing with brokers. You're finding telemarketing companies have a really hard time staying in business and generating leads, so a lot of them are going by the wayside.
Okay, good. Okay, so finally, help us out here, man. Help us new guys, and us guys that may want to try and give this telemarketing thing a go, When you get the person on the phone for the first time, do you have any tips for us there on just trying to make it, a profitable experience?
Yeah, well, a couple things. Number one, imperative that a lot of these leads are not exclusive. You can buy exclusive leads, and you can buy leads that are sold to 3 to 4 brokers.
Okay, so exclusively is probably pretty expensive, huh?
They get more expensive. And if you think your skill set is in order, then you're definitely going to want to probably accept the fact that 3 or 4 other brokers are going to be calling. The thing is that most other loan officers and brokers are too lazy if you have a real strong work ethic, and I find that even if you give it 24 hours, still nobody called them back, but you get a cheaper lead. So what I typically do is within the moment I get the lead, the very day I get the lead, I make that phone call. Because you have a greater odds that you're the first one. And then after you, they're all going to look worse.
Right.
So that's number one. Number two, when I call, everybody's inundated with telemarketing leads. And so I tend to kind of make fun or have a little lighthearted with calling, indicating, kind of make fun of the fact that I know that a million people call them, and that I know I'm only one of many, but at the same time, I throw out a number of different phrases like, I'm a senior loan officer. And I always tell them a lot of the times you might get a lot of green peas that got in the business the last 2 or 3 years. You're going to want to make sure that with everybody calling you who's normally a telemarketer, most of the telemarketing companies have been outsourced to Pakistan and India. And so a lot of people they're going to talk to are either a telemarketer, maybe a foreign telemarketer. Not that that's really a big deal that some people feel a little adverse against getting social security numbers and information over that. And you bring that up as a weapon. And you say, hey, I'm in California. Potentially I'm local to you because most of my telemarketing is focused in California. So I'm local within the state. California Department of Real Estate, I bring that up. I also bring up the fact that I use the word senior loan officer because it tends to have a little bit more mileage than just a regular loan officer. Also, when you talk about green peas, usually you get low-level loan officers calling you or telemarketers that don't really have the skill set to provide you the quotes that you're looking for. And then I ask them right away, in the last, 3 or 4 people that you've talked to, have they been able to quote you, stick to what they quoted you, and been the last person you've talked to? 9 times out of 10, you'll never have somebody that is the only person they start with talking and end with talking in the quote, because they're typically telemarketers or they're a low-level and loan officer that will then move it to the closer into the manager. And a lot of people don't like that.
I don't like that either.
It's like cars sometimes.
I hate that.
And if you acknowledge the fact that that's happening, which is 9 times out of 10, you just kind of disarm or actually made yourself look like the one-stop shop. So those are some of the techniques I do, but I really make fun of the fact that, hey, you get a million calls, and I know I'm one of many, but if you give me 5 minutes, I'm probably going to be very unique in my conversation.
That is awesome.
So that's just a few things.
Great pointers. One last thing, and we'll be done.
Okay.
Next time you're doing it, or one of these times you're doing it, any chance I could come up here and watch you do it and get you on tape?
Oh, yes, number one. And number two, if anybody in First Priority ever wants to cruise over and spend an hour or half an hour and listen to me telemarket, if they want to invest the funds to do this, by all means, I'll work with anybody in the branches just so they can kind of see how I relate to people.
That is fantastic.
Because if you're going to get $5,000 or $6,000 of an investment, you may want to see it done first.
Might want to sharpen up your skills a little bit before you lay out the dough.
Yeah, so I'm more than willing to help out if I can.
That is awesome, Brent. You're the bomb, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Brent, he's in Lenny. Brent Peterson up in Oak Grove. He's ready to help. Awesome. Thank you, man.
No problem.